You ring, we bring the Kentucky Derby by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns. Here we go.
For over 150 years, the Kentucky Derby has stood as the most enduring tradition in American sports. And in our time, one stallion is reshaping its legacy. Back-to-back Derby winners. His first son at stud siring another. A dynasty in motion. A motion that again has forward momentum toward Louisville, with another elite crop of 3-year-olds bearing his genes. Spendthrift Farm, home of Into Mischief.
Knowledge, it ain't free. You gotta pay attention and don't believe the hype.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
For some, they say it's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. For us, it's about potential financial opportunities. Never bring a knife to a gunfight, and make no mistake, big money is up for grabs and this is a fight. Never settle for second best. The Past the Wire annual Kentucky Derby seminar. Nobody does it better. Preparation is key. Be better prepared, delve deeper, stealth. They won't see us coming and they won't know we're there. Money management, ticket structure, pace, all the intangibles, Thorograph, everything that matters to make it count, to have that edge. In the end, if things go as planned, it'll be like we stole the money.
Ciao tutti. Well, the Kentucky Oaks by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns show is in the books, so it's time for the Kentucky Derby show. Uh, Thank you to Thorograph for providing us with these wonderful numbers and figures to use in trying to decipher the puzzle that is the Kentucky Derby. Thorograph is running a special right now, thorograph.com. You could go there and buy the sheets for the Oaks and Derby contenders. Take a look at them. If you got questions, they got great tutorials, and I'll do one better than that. If you got any questions about reading them, or any at all related to Thorograph or anything else in horse racing, we got an AMA policy here. Ask me anything, and we'll get back to you and let you know one way or the other. So with that, what we're going to do now is rev things up because it's that time. Kentucky Derby, Thorograph Numbers and Patterns. If you've watched the shows, you know what this is about. We're not looking for the winner, although we may find them, but what we are is looking for gold in them there numbers, because we're going to go through the patterns, not handicap the race. We're going to go through the patterns and try and decipher who's fast enough to win, who's good enough to win, who's moving forward, and who's regressing. And if we're lucky, we'll find what it takes to win the Kentucky Derby, because we all know what that is. You got to be special. You got to be good. You got to be fast. And also, you got to be lucky, because the best horse doesn't often win the Kentucky Derby. So we know all of that going in. Uh, it's one of the reasons we love the race. There's so many challenges, so many intangibles, and the numbers are a huge help in deciphering who's fast enough, good enough, and going in the right direction to win the Run for the Roses on the first Saturday in May. So with that, we'll get through these numbers, get through these horses. I have a tendency to talk fast and roll when I do these, but you know, we don't want to take up too much of everybody's time. And you could always slow it down, take notes, watch a replay, whatever. And you can always listen faster so I don't have to slow down and you're already caught up. So that's an option too. So it's all according to what you want. Before we start, last thing I'll say is if you don't have one yet, what are you waiting for? Get a seat and spot at our Kentucky Derby seminar. Best in the game, not just because it's ours, but ask anybody who's ever attended. Look at the testimonials. Look at the invitation on PassTheWire.com. See what people have to say, and you decide whether you want to. It absolutely can't hurt. It can only help. So, with that, we'll get right into these numbers and see where we're heading in the Kentucky Derby. Uh, Again, we're not handicapping the race. We're looking for who's going the right way, who's going the wrong way, who's too slow, and who's fast enough to win. That's what we're looking for. And again, like I said on the Oak Show, this is the Kentucky Derby. So don't be discouraged, surprised, or dismayed when a lot of horses have great patterns. They're supposed to have great patterns. That's why we do this show, to really deep dive and decipher them, because it's the Derby. These are the best 3-year-olds in the country, if not the world. So they're going to have good patterns, odds are. So let's just keep that in mind. Part of the game. That's why we got to do this. So Burnham Square starts out at his 2-year-old and right away was good. 10, 7.25, 7. As a 3-year-old, he does what I love to see. He goes past his best 2-year-old number. And you know, if you watch these shows, how much I love that. He goes to a 4, pairs the 4, and then last time out at Keeneland goes to a 1.25. So we got paired 4s, the paired numbers, and the 3, repeat numbers often lead to a forward move. Now he's made that forward move. So we don't have enough of a pattern to say he's regressed off forward moves in the past. So what do we see? We see 4, 4, 1.25, faster than his best 2-year-old number, first time out at 3. Excellent pattern. Kind of sets the benchmark for what it's going to take right off the bat to win this race. It's going to have to be, I would say, a 3 or less. So, I'm going to call 3 the benchmark for the Derby this year. 1, 0, the optimum numbers. But let's see what the rest of them have to say about that. Sandman, a lot more starts than Burnham Square. What has he got? He's got 15.5, 10, 11, 8, 7. Going the right way at 2, getting faster and getting in the contender range. What does he do? He goes past his 2-year-old number, first time at 3, 4.5, 4.5, 1.5. Very similar to Burnham Square with the paired 4s. They're 4.5s, but paired numbers, and then jumps forward. No knocking his pattern at all. I will say, just for a tidbit, one of the reasons that we handicap the races, in addition to looking at the numbers, that 1.5 he got last time was off a perfect setup. So that's why we don't just take these numbers with a grain of salt and rely solely on them. They're a tool in our arsenal. We still look at a lot of other things because maybe somebody didn't have a beautiful setup and ran that number. So let's keep that in mind. Journalism, the horse that I've liked before anybody else liked him. I've been on him since October. If anybody's been on him before that, it's news to me. But let's see how his pattern looks. 2-year-old, 10.5, 7.75, 4.5. Forward. We like it. 4.5, that's damn good for a 2-year-old. Comes back, lights out, first time at 3. Blows the 2-year-old number out of the water. 0 negative, 0.5 negative number. Boom, first negative number we've seen. Runs back to that, races for second. Regresses off that to a 1.5. Still extremely fast. Was entitled to regress off that. And when we factor in his trip, he was boxed in, hemmed in, turning his head a little bit, bounced around, target on his back. Not going to hold it against him. Fast, consistent. The regression was expected for a 2-year-old. I don't even know that he was all out last time out. He was already in the Derby. Fast horse, solid horse. Nothing on the pattern says stay away from journalism, even though he had that little bit of regression last time. Can certainly run back or run past that 0.5 negative number. Rodriguez, interesting. Bob's horses are usually fast. He's no exception. Starts out with an 8, comes back, goes past that 2-year-old number, and 4 3/4, 4.5, 6. So regresses off the 2 numbers. That's a little rare. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe there's not. We're going to watch that replay closely. And then Aqueduct, Wood Memorial, 2.5. Puts him in the game. I'm sorry, 2.25. Puts him right in the game. Regressed a little off those paired 4s. A little bit of a concern. Was given a full month, maybe even 5 weeks off. I like it. 2.25, fast. Can definitely go forward off the break. Can definitely pair it up. No knock in his pattern. Tis-tastic. 13, 12, 9.5, 7, 7 3/4. So those 2 7s, even though one's a 7, one's a 7 3/4, are pretty much paired numbers. Comes back, continues that 7, 7 1/4, then finally makes his forward move just when you're ready to give up on him, 3 3/4. We don't have a history of regressing off the forward moves, so we can't really say that that's a likely or not likely scenario. Has to go forward again. He's right at the fringe with that 3 3/4. Has to go forward again. It's possible. It's not guaranteed, but another forward move puts him in the game. And it is a Steve Asmussen horse, so I take his horses seriously. He comes to play on the big days. So this horse could be, a little bit of a sleeper. Who's a contender? Tappan Street, 7 as a 2-year-old, comes back, gets significantly better. 4.5, then 1.5. Nothing to say that he's not fast enough already, and has a pattern that's indicative of continuing to move forward or at least maintain. So Tappan Street on the numbers, fast and dangerous. The horse whose name I can't say, Sovereignty. I always mess up this poor horse's name. He'll win the Derby because of that, and I'll be saying it wrong the whole time. 9.5, 5, 5 3/4, 1 3/4, and 1 3/4 paired as a 2-year-old. Goes past the 2-year-old number, first time as 3, and then pairs it up. Great pattern. Love the pattern. Very, very dangerous. Already fast enough to be a major player and win. And any type of forward move off those paired numbers makes Sovereignty a very, very dangerous animal come the first Saturday in May. Definitely one that if I was Umberto Rispoli, I would be looking to get the jump on and out finish, because he could very well be coming hard. Okay, Final Gambit. What do we have here? We've got a 17.5 at 2, 12.5 goes forward, 12 1/4 goes forward, jumps forward to a 5 3/4. Big forward move, and although there's no history of regressing off big forward moves, that's a 7-point forward move. Now asking him to do it again under tough conditions, I would say a repeat or even a regression is more likely. Cold Battle. 13.5, 13.5, 13 3/4, 10, 8 3/4 as a 2-year-old. So kind of clawing his way at getting better at 2. Comes back at 3. Gets a lot better. 6 1/4, 3. Regresses off the 3 to a 5. So we got a little bit of a Z going on at 3. But the good thing about that is that he's coming back to a good race. He would have to go past the best race yet, the 3, which he may do, but 3, 2 kind of puts him like on the fringe. And although the pattern is indicative of another bounce back forward, It doesn't scream bounce back with a career race to me. So I would say, good pattern, but fast enough. I've got my reservations. Chunk of gold. What do we got here? 6.25 as a 2-year-old. Comes back 11.5, 5, and 5. So he pairs those fives. Forward move, we know off the paired numbers is very likely. 3, 2, puts him on the fringe. Puts him on the fringe. If he makes a huge move forward, lightly raced horse, could put him right in the game, but more likely makes a realistic forward move or a more common forward move, which puts him fringe. But a good pattern all the same. So we always watch the good pattern horses. Citizen Bull, we know him well. 6, 7, 6, 2 3/4 winning the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. And we know some of the trips he's got. Comes back at 3, 3, doesn't go past that number, but runs fast enough or close enough to it to say, you know what, no knock, and then regresses off that to a 6.5 last time out. Could bounce back, could equal his best number ever. Go past it, I don't think so. And equaling it is not going to win the Roses on the first Saturday in May. So I'm not sure he goes forward, and I'm not sure if he does go forward, it's enough to win the race. Owen Almighty, he's out. He's in the Pate Mile. We'll skip him. East Avenue. 6, first time out at Ellis, then gets a lonely lead on a speed favoring track by himself. 3 at Keeneland, regresses in the Breeders' Cup off the bad break to a 10.5. Comes back at 3. Complete clunker first time out, 11.5, worst number ever, but comes back and equals his best number ever with a 3 in defeat last time out at Keeneland. Well, he regressed off a big number in the past, although it was with a bad break. So it becomes a question mark whether he'll do it again. His best numbers have come with lonely leads, so I guess if he gets the lead lonely, he can run back to that number. I don't really see him going past it based on his pattern. We'll see. But without a lonely lead, I think it's for sure that he doesn't even get to that 3. Publisher's got an interesting pattern, and he's got some bottom to him. Used to be valuable in the Derby bottom. 11.25, 14.5, 11.25, 5.5 as a 2-year-old. Getting better. 5.5 says, you know what? Pay attention to me. As a 3-year-old. Starts slow again. Doesn't go past that number. So he's kind of a slow starter, a workhorse kind of thing. Work in the making, a project in the making. 11.25, 7, 3.5 last time out. 3.5 is a good number. The forward pattern is good. The jumps are not huge, but they're big enough to suggest another forward one puts him at a 2, 1, even a 0. I can't toss him on the numbers, and I can't toss him on the pattern. Got to get better. Got to go forward again, but he's been doing that every start at 3. Definitely based off the numbers, a horse at a big price you want to be looking at triples and supers getting in there. American Promise. What do we got? We got a 19, we got a 13.5, we got a regression 16.75, we got a 9.75, 9.5, 5. So towards the end of the 2-year-old year, American Promise was getting better. At 3, comes back, good. 8.5, 7, and then jumps forward to a 1 at Colonial. Very, very fast race, very, very fast track that day. 1 puts him in contention. Big move forward. He repeats it, goes forward off it, major player. Has had a good amount of time off, so not sure which way he goes off the big move forward. The time off is a a thing on his side of the table, but he's a question mark in my mind on the pattern and on whether or not he's going to move forward. But he does have that one on the resume, and a one is fast enough to win the race. So we got to keep that in mind. River Thames. River Thames did not run at 2, but has run very well at 3. 5, 5 pad, goes forward to a 3, goes forward to a 2.5. Excellent pattern. Uh, Great pattern. Lights out pattern. No knocking on the pattern at all. I would expect him to go forward again, and on the numbers, I would say that makes him a contender. Flood Zone. Flood Zone was a vet scratch as a 2-year-old, 15 and a half in the debut, comes back, gets much, much better. 3.5, 3, and then 11 and 3/4 clunker in Dubai. Uh, don't like the pattern, don't like coming in off the clunker. Even though he regressed off the 2 wins, and a lot of horses bounced back after the regression, being it was in Dubai and being he's got to travel back and forth, I'm going to say all signs lead to a possible improvement off the last, but improve, 10 points, 11 points. I say show me on the racetrack. Flying Mohawk. Interesting haircut, the Flying Mohawk. Not one I've ever sported myself, or I plan to, but for those of you that like it, sport it. 15 and a quarter, 12, 15, 12. A little bit of a Z at 2. Not nearly fast enough to win. Got a much better pattern at 3, 9 and 3/4, 8.5. Going the right way, but not fast enough for me without a major, major jump in the right direction. So even a forward move of 5 points only makes him a fringe guy. I'm going to say not fast enough. Grande. Another one didn't run at 2 for Pletcher. So Pletcher might have 2 horses in Derby this year that neither one ran at 2. River Thames and Grande. Grande runs 5.5, 5.5. Paired numbers. What do they equal? Forward move. We got that forward move last time, 0.5. Fast race. Better number than the winner. What did Rodriguez get? Rodriguez got, hang on. Rodriguez won the race. Stay with me. We're just doing a little scrolling. More than a little, but it's always worth it. Rodriguez gets a 2.25. This horse runs second, gets a 0.5. So that's an angle I love. I love when the horse that runs second gets a better number than the horse that wins. But is it good enough to win? Yeah. 0.25, if he can repeat that, is good enough to win. Now, it was a 5-point jump. Again, we've got no history with him. Lightly raced. Now in the Derby, we got all these lightly raced horses. We don't have a history to say yay or nay as to whether or not the regression or the repeat or the forward move is likely. But off that 5 points, off those 2 fast races, I would say he's got a good pattern. But if I got to bet on which way he goes, I'm leaning more towards the regression because of that 5-point jump so lightly raced. It's no guarantee. He's one of the question marks, but I lean more towards the regression. But you should always pay attention to which way you lean, because the best opinion is always yours, right, wrong, or indifferent, because there's no worse feeling in the world than horse racing. Well, maybe a couple, but losing when you back somebody else's opinion is a horrible feeling. You could factor in a sharp second set of eyes, which I'd like to think I provide, and what we aim to do with our seminar tracking trips and everything else that we do. But our videos, our shows, our Derby radar, but your own opinion is the one that you should always put your money on, unless you just agree or somebody says something that, you know what, this guy's right, I'm riding with that. I think so. But your opinion is always the one you want your money on. I never bet on anybody's opinion bought my own. Matticat Road starts out fast, 7.5, 7.25, some gradual improvement. Comes back, stays right there, 7.5, 7, 5.5. Let me tell you something. Say what you want about Matticat Road. He's got to get faster, but everything about his pattern says he's going to. All the numbers going in the right way and doing it the right way. Those little gradual jumps, repeats, love that. Built 12.75, 8, 2.75 as a 2-year-old. So he's showing signs at 2, big jumps forward, fast. I want to be a major player, and he made himself one with that 2.75. Comes back, starts off with a regression, 8.5, but says, you know what, I am for real. Comes back with a 3.5, then regresses to a 7.5. So we got that Z going on. We don't like the Z, although it does say good race coming. But he's never yet in the Z pattern, but he's never yet gone past that best 2-year-old number, which is not a fast enough number, in my opinion, to win the race. So I'm going to say probably goes forward off the 7, but not enough to win the race. Neoquist. And I got to give a shout out to Neolithic, the sire, who stands at Pleasant Acres Stallions, one of the sponsors of our shows. Big shout out to him, making the field if he winds up in there, but he's on the list. So, and he's been fast and consistent. No knocking him. 8, 8.75, 4.25. As a 3-year-old, 8, 4.25, 4.25. He's got those paired 4.25 staring us in the face, and they are fast enough where the forward move that we expect puts him as a player. 3 points forward is a 1. 4 points forward is a 0. That's kind of where we want to be. We want to be that 1-0 area. So on the patterns, horse is live. And again, a lot of these, you may pick one that you like, and when you handicap the race you like, and you take something out of this show about the pattern, you know, on the show, we looked at the pattern this way, even if you're not a Thorograph user, you know, hey, on that show I watched, the pattern said this, I'm going to use this horse in the supers or the trifectas. On Derby Day, you know what could happen with those bets. Bang, off to the races. So keep that in mind with some of these horses. Again, knowing a horse to bet against is as valuable as knowing a horse to bet. Knowing a horse that's going to be in there at a big price or has a shot to be in there at a big price can be very valuable, especially on a day like Derby Day. Render judgment. What do we got with him? We got an 8, we got a 10, we got an 8, we got another 8 at 2. Gets better at 3. We get an 8, we get a 5.5, we get a 5.75. He's got a good pattern, a forward-going pattern. I predict very likely that he can go forward, but enough to win the race? I don't think so. 5, I could see him going to a 3, maybe to a 2. So if he does go forward, he's still just outside where you want to be. And being just outside where you want to be in the Derby could mean you're 14th because there's so many horses. So you definitely want a horse that we project is there. Baeza. A lot of talk about this horse. He's going to be a wise guy horse if he's in the race, whatever that means. But a lot of talk about him. 15.5, excuse me, 6.75, 4, 0. 0 is outstanding. Better number than the winner that day. I believe the winner was journalism. But regardless, 6, 4, 0, great pattern, great numbers, fast enough. Start at 2 under the belt. So no knocking Baeza on the pattern or on the numbers. Chance of McPatrick. Not sure if he's going to go. 8, 5.5, 3.25, 4.75. Tampa, 3.25. Keeneland, in a race that looked bad on paper, gets a 3.75 anyway. I like the steadiness of this horse. I like the bottom to this horse. I like the paired threes. I don't visually like the last race, but I like the paired threes. Isolating strictly on the numbers, taking out all the other factors. The numbers say he's moving forward, and that any forward move makes him fast enough to win the race if he does, if everything else plays out, gets the distance, all that other stuff. But just isolated on the numbers, player. Luxor Cafe. We've really only got one number to look at with Luxor Cafe, and it's a 2.5. 2.5 is fast. If he moves forward in the States, player. Player if he moves forward. But again, we don't know a lot about him, so we're going to have to learn a lot more about him before we officially stamp him as a player. But off that 2.5, without knowing anything about patterns or anything else, 2.5 is a fast race. Any forward move makes him a player. Heart of Honor, I think, is out, so we're going to pass him up. Admire Daytona. We've got at least more numbers on him. We've got nothing at 2, but at 3, we've got 5 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4 in Dubai. Those paired 4 1/4s, we like them. Good pattern. Would have to move forward at least 3 points to get there. 2 points is not going to do it. So I would say, possibility, not enamored, but, would be no shock. And he's going to wrap everything up for us. So, the one thing that jumps out at me is, a couple of horses with those zeros and ones, got to be taken seriously. And when you look at the, patterns on horse like River Thames and some of the others that we mentioned, they really stick out. But what really jumps out the most, and you don't see this a lot in the Derby, you'll see it often in the Breeders' Cup races, but not so much in the Derby. Journalism with that, 0.5 negative. I mean, to me, the horse is not a Maserati, a Ferrari with that like blazing speed, but he's more like just a beautiful machine that when you put your foot down on the pedal, you get it. And, I'll say that number wins the race if he can run back to it or go past it. Everything else being equal, despite how good some of the others look. And we've isolated some really, really good ones in there, and we'll do more on that at the seminar. So with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope I didn't take too long, and I hope to see all of you and then some at the seminar, where we're really going to try and make it our best seminar ever and knock them dead out of the park, put ourselves in position, take some big swings for, take some big swings against, and really try and do some significant damage. So afterwards we can be shot at all the best places. So with that, see you all there. I welcome the questions. I welcome any thoughts that you all may have. Get your seats. Discount rate, I think, is still available till tomorrow. It's worth it, even at any price. It's priceless, in my opinion. I wish somebody else did one like ours so I could go to it, but nobody does. Best in the game, bar none. We have a lot of fun. Got a lot of the same people every year that we enjoy, and they enjoy us. So ride with us. You'll never starve. You ring, we bring, and we're going to do it. So thank you, everybody. God bless all of you. Ciao for now. There's a lot of ways to handicap a horse race and a lot of ways to bet on them. But nobody that I know does it like Gio Setti and his full card, precise order handicap. Every horse in the race gets a predicted order of finish like only Gio can do, way beyond a deep dive, available exclusively on select days at Past the Wire. This is important, so you're going to want to remember it. If you're a cat and you want to become a lion, you're going to have to lose your taste for rats.
Go.
Hey, Sure Bet Coffee. Put that giddy up in your cup. That giddy up in your cup. Sure Bet Coffee.
The legend himself, Frankie Dettori. Ciao, Frankie. Tutto a posto.
Tutto a posto. Yes, that's a good start. So you haven't lost your Italian.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, presented by Am Wager.
Tracking trips at Past the Wire. There is no better time than now to join and ride with this claim. We'll be your second set of expert trained eyes. We ain't gonna buy you a fish. Sure, we'll give you some, but more importantly, we'll show you how to fish and make you a better better. CAWs, sharks in the water, no problem. We'll go against anybody, and we have the track record to prove it. Big days, big pools, and select days all year long. We'll outplay them all. Looking for an ace? You're in the right place. Want to find that diamond? Be with us. Want to know more? Just ask a member or visit us at pastthewire.com and check out the tracking trips page. Nobody does it better.
Remember, the older you get, the better you get. Unless you're a banana.
It's The Wire TV, your #1 source for horse racing news and interviews, handicapping analysis, betting insights, and more. Past the Wire TV covers the biggest races at the best tracks.
Garnet and Luis Saez to win the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. The Grey Wizard is absolutely flying. Champagne won. The Grey Wizard. Oh, it's very close. Leave it to the judge.
Like, share, and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.
Blood. That makes you related. Loyalty. That makes you family. Nobody does it better.